What if I told you that comics aren't just for entertainment, but could also be the key to discovering a whole new level of learning? Curious? Our guest today, Laura Balliett from Cool School Comics, is about to reveal how she turns comic book creativity into teacher gold. Are you intrigued? Stick around. Welcome to Upper Elementary Simplified, the podcast where busy and overwhelmed teachers find thoughtful ideas to get students engaged in meaningful learning experiences. Hi, I'm Danna Rodebush, former fifth grade classroom teacher and founder of Teacher Tech Studio. I'm here to share practical tips and strategies that will help you grow as an educator. If you are a tired upper elementary teacher searching for ways to cut down your planning time while boosting student engagement, you are in the right spot. Are you ready? Let's simplify. I am excited to let you know that I am hosting a free online event called Math Madness for upper elementary math teachers. If you are listening to this before March 27th, 2024, you still have time to register to get access to tons of free resources, insider details about exclusive sales, and chances to win prizes in our free Facebook group. If you are not already a member of the Facebook group, now is the time to join, because not only will there be prize giveaways happening in there throughout the event, but I will also be posting updates about the event directly to the group members. You can join by searching Upper Elementary Simplified on Facebook or by clicking the link in the show notes and requesting to join that way. Either way, we would love to have you. Registration for Math Madness will be open from February 18th through March 26th. To get registered for the event, head to teachertechstudio.com/register, and that's REGISTER. I will also link that in the show notes for you. You can find that link by going to the episode description in your podcast player app or by heading to upperelementarysimplified.com/podcast. I hope to see you there. Hello. Thank you so much for joining me for episode 47 of the podcast. I told you last week that for the next 6 episodes, I am going to be inviting some of the teacher authors who are participating in Math Madness to be guests on the show and chat with me about everything math. Well, get ready because I have some great interviews planned, and we are kicking it off today with one that I have been super excited about ever since I found her resources way back in the fall. Laura has a very unique way of creating engaging classroom resources that I know you are going to love. Her business is called Cool School Comics, and Cool School Comics delivers comic style math and science cartoons designed to improve retention and make reading fun. Designed to align with grades 3 through 9 standards, these comics are easy to implement and loaded with content, supplementals, and hands on activities. Everything is crafted with the cartoon style, making the lesson more relatable and accessible to a wider range of learners. I am excited to welcome Laura to the show. Laura, welcome to the show. I'm super excited to have you here. Please tell my audience a little bit about yourself and how you serve the education community.
Great. Thanks for having me. I am a middle school math and science teacher. I've been teaching in the classroom for over 16 years. And about 5 years into my teaching career, I started drawing my content because I found that my students responded a lot better when the content was presented in a more visual format. I began drawing my math and science content and had amazing results. My kids absolutely loved it. So I've been building that ever since.
That is so cool. I'm excited to hear more about that. So, if you would talk a little bit about how you have used comics to teach specifically math topics.
Okay, so it started off every year. seems to be across the board, even when I'm tutoring right now, kids are horrified of fractions. And I don't know why, they just find them horrifying. And so I made this silly comic about how fractions aren't scary, they're just tiny numbers. And it kind of explained how a fraction is just parts of a whole number, but it played on the idea that it's just a small number, it's not scary. And I showed some scary things that were typically what kids think are scary, but then showed that fractions are not scary, and the kids really loved it. So it just kind of built from there with
That
that.
is so cool. That is so cool. I would love to see that someday. So, how do you think that cartoons make the content more accessible to students?
So comics and cartoons are naturally approachable to they instantly engage even grown-ups. I find that when I show someone my comics, it doesn't matter what age they're in, even my 3-year-old daughter, they're instantly engaged in looking at it and trying to figure out what it is, and they want to learn about it. It makes learning the content fun, and it also helps struggling readers because when they see giant paragraphs, even story problems, they instantly shut down because they see a wall of words and they're instantly intimidated. And presenting it in a comic format ropes them in and kind of breaks up all of those long sentences into manageable chunks. It makes it easier for them to digest.
That is very true, very true. So you talked a little bit in the beginning about how you started teaching with comics. So I'm curious, why did you choose comics as your form of illustration?
So I've always wanted to be a cartoonist. I kind of gravitated more towards, it was like a toss up between being an artist and teaching. And everyone always said there's more success in, the latter path of becoming a teacher. So I went that route. And then with my students, like I said before, they didn't want to read. They weren't reading story problems, they weren't reading instructions. And so I would doodle them down just to hopefully engage them in reading it and try to get their attention. And so it really just came naturally that I started turning them into comics because the kids were actually reading the content. So
That is so cool. So, would you say that comics improve retention of content? And why do you think that is?
I absolutely believe they improve retention. I started teaching at a charter school for at-risk youth, and my student, no matter what angle I took with my students, I couldn't get them to engage in the content. And it wasn't until it was kind of out of desperation, the state testing was coming, and I had loads of content to cover, and I needed a way to basically get the concepts across quickly and efficiently. And when I presented the content in a comic form, it was like they were instantly engaged. It got to the point where they were meeting me at the printer. They were so excited to grab these comics from me. And when they were taking the tests, I could tell that there was a different energy of confidence when they were taking the tests.
That is so cool. I so wish that I had your resources when I was in the classroom. My
Mhm.
kids would have loved that. That is so cool. I know that I used to have some of my kids as kind of like a reading comprehension activity. We would create our own comics,
Mhm.
but using them in the way that you use them, I think it's just really cool. I really love that. So, do you mind sharing your process of how you create your comics? Like, do you begin with a focus topic and develop around that? Or do you have the storyline first and build it to fit a specific focus skill? How does all of that work?
Yeah, it's super, it's all over the place. It's like when you look at my sketch page of the finished comic, if you look all around it, it's this crazy mind map of things like notes that I've jotted down, and I have pictures of the standards so I can keep referencing the standards, and then I have little doodles and I drag them in and out, and I'm always working on balance. And I have this, I feel like it's a sense of knowing when I'm going to lose a kid. So we're like right now I'm designing a whole lesson plan for Pi Day, and I had to break it into two comics because figured if I put it all into one pager, I would lose them. So I have to break it down, and so it's this whole process of balance and meeting the standards. So it's a whole
Yeah.
process. It's very nonlinear.
Very cool. I love how you keep it it, like you say, in a digestible format. I think that
Mhm.
that is very important, especially with upper elementary kids. They can lose focus really quickly, even whenever we are giving them an engaging activity like this, they still seem to lose focus for some reason. And so I like the way that you keep it small and keep them digestible. I think that's really cool.
Mhm.
So I know that you have several packages for teachers to check out. So can you talk a little bit about what all you have available?
Yep. So I try to make this as easy as possible for a teacher to implement. A lot of teachers are aware that comics are a huge benefit in classrooms, but most comics that are out there are in a lengthy book format, and it's really impossible. It's very challenging for teachers to implement it because there's no supplementals, there's 30 pages plus of content, and there's no organization. So what I've done is create a product that's really easy to use, and I have it in 3 tiers. So basically there's the simple just content comic in color and black and white format, and that's the most basic you can go. And then the next tier up has the content comic, and then it has doodle notes and some follow-up activities. And then the lesson plan is the next one up, and that one has an animated shareable Google slideshow. It has a complete lesson plan mapped out for probably most of them are about a week long. It has multiple content comics. It has a hands-on activity that is presented in comic form because students don't really read directions. So even my instructions for hands-on activities are in comic form. And then there's lots of supplementals like follow-up worksheets. And so it's all in the lesson plan format.
That is so cool. I love how you have it organized. And I think that my audience is really going to love this. And I know that if I ever go back to the classroom, I am going to look you up for sure. So, is there anything else that you would like to add that we haven't already talked about?
Well, I'm always taking requests. I encourage teachers to reach out to me because I'm here to help you. I worked in a classroom. I know what it's like to struggle through getting students to actually read. I did this out of my desire to get my students to succeed. And now that I've discovered that it's so successful, I want to help others. And that's my mission essentially, is to do that. So I have a lot of teachers requesting science topics, and so I'm always creating science. And so if you math teachers out there have some areas where you think a comic is definitely needed, just shoot me an email on the contact form on my webpage, and I will do my best to create a comic for you to help your kids learn topics.
Oh, I love that. So, you said that they can reach out on the contact form of your website. So, can you go ahead and tell my audience where they can find you? And then we'll also put the link in the show notes for this episode as well.
Yep, the website is coolschoolcomics.com. Actually, all over any social media, just type in Cool School Comics, and that's basically the links to all of any Instagram or Teachers Pay Teachers. That's all over there. It's just Cool School Comics.
Awesome. Very cool. Okay. So we are going to offer my audience your free resource. You want to talk a little bit about that? And then I'll also link that in the show notes as well so they can grab that.
Yeah, so I have a comic that gives an overview of what Pi is, because in March, a lot of teachers like to celebrate Pi Day. And so I'm giving away the Pi Day comic, which goes over what Pi is and explains it in a visual format in a one-page printable comic for teachers
I
to use for
love
their class.
it. I love it. Thank you for offering that up for my audience. I am excited that you are going to be joining us for Math Madness coming up here in a few weeks. And I know that all of the teachers that come to Math Madness are going to just love your resources. So, Laura, thank you so much for coming on today. I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us about your amazing resources, and I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Upper Elementary Simplified. I hope you are able to take away something useful that will help you grow as a teacher. I do have a quick favor to ask before you go. If you are enjoying the podcast, please let me know by leaving me a review. It really does make a difference because reviews impact search results, which helps me to expand my reach to other educators. Plus, I love to read my listeners' comments. Until next time, keep life simple.